Safety is the integration of different disciplines. All of them have just one purpose: to make an activity safe. To do this, we can define safety as a system with two different concepts. The first concept is the systemic thinking, and then you can ask a question: what is the definition of safety as a system? The systemic thinking postulates that many subsystems are interrelated in order to understand their performance or operation and solve the problems. Thus, we have to see the systemic thinking as a conceptual framework, a context that has been developed during the last 70 years that facilitates the clarity and modification of all the different cultural patterns. These cultural patterns then guide the development of the organizational structures, working practices, socialization of newcomers, and daily decision making. In essence, the culture of an organization choreographs all the activities undertaken by the organization itself. From a management point of view, it is important to notice that the impact of culture is in many ways not perceived by the organization itself, since all the members of the organization considers all that fits in their cultural assumptions or norms to be business as usual. The second concept is the cycle of change. This second concept, when thinking of safety as a system, is that any system is like an organism or a set of organized parts with a number of different subsystems or components that are in interaction. It consists, as I have said, in components which are entities of the system that, in combination with other components of the system, combines, separates, or compares the different causes that produces any consequences. So, this means that safety is a socio-technical phenomena, and as we have said, it is influenced by many different beings, from individuals to groups, to management, support functions, or even society itself. Each person and task has a potential on safety. This means that each person can describe the effect of his or her work on safety. The interfaces are important. Thus, the organization promotes a good overview of work processes. This means that there are multiple types of safety in addition to operational safety. Let's say occupational safety, or environmental safety, information security, or security. All of them are going to be taken into account. So, we can continue saying that safety is a dynamic property of any activity and requires constant effort by all the stakeholders. Also, it cannot be decomposed in meaningful factors. If you remember when we were speaking about history of safety, at the very beginning, systems or safety was approached by trying to understand the different meaningful parts of any systems. As the decades pass, systems becomes more and more complex. So now, it is not that easy to take a system, separate the parts, and then understand the different factors. Also, we have to remember that it does not equal to a lack of accidents. So safety doesn't mean that we don't have accidents. It is true that our final goal is to reduce the accidents, but at the end, it is impossible to reduce all the small events. And this will guide us to the final part. That is that safety effects are not linear. This means the effects are not the sum of different events. So sometimes small events at the beginning can produce high or severe consequences. That's why management have to focus to monitor all the activities or the high frequency events if they are small, because can produce severe consequences.